evening. Welcome back, and thank you for joining us for the third episode of Caribbean Angles, where we continue to discuss Caribbean family issues each and every Thursday. I'm your host, Brittany Morrison, and a very special welcome to you, our viewers online, and to my amazing guest, community social worker, Miss Susan Ferguson, sociologist, Mr. Lascelles White, and social worker, Miss Cassandra Bolton. How are you all feeling tonight?
I'm feeling good, thank you.
Well, I'm doing fine. Trying to keep safe in these hard times.
Mm-hmm. Miss Ferguson?
I'm okay, giving God thanks.
All right. So, in this week's episode, we will discuss the topic the impact of class structure and socialization in Caribbean families. Just so that our viewers can get a better understanding of the topic, I will go ahead and inform you about class structure and socialization. According to Jessica Callister, a class structure is used to define groups of people exhibiting similar characteristics based on income, educational level, and status. There are three main class structures, including the lower, middle, and upper class. Every social class has its own special culture, represented in values, beliefs, and behaviors. Patterns. It forms a framework which is a base for parental practices in socialization. Hence, parents raise their children relative to their social class. According to an article titled Social Class in Socialization Process, socialization is a process of social interaction in which individuals can gain their personalities and societal culture. Every society builds an institutional framework within which socialization of the child takes place. The term socialization refers to the process of interaction through which the growing individual learns the habits, attitudes, values, and beliefs of the social group into which he or she has been born. So we'll hear more about this topic from our guests, but just before we do so, let's hear what members of the public has to say.
Hi, good day.
Good day.
How are you doing today?
Not bad.
Okay, lovely. I am from the 8th talk show Caribbean Angles, and I would love to get your views on the following issue. What are your takes on upper class, middle class, and lower class in the Caribbean, and how do they can contribute to society?
Okay. It is kind of tricky question, but I'm looking at the classes, the upper class, as the ones that have the capital to push in the society to create initiatives and job opportunities for persons, right? So those persons who are classified as upper class, they contribute with a growth of capital to society. Persons who you would consider middle class are those we would more likely to call the working class, right? So they consist basically of nurses, police officers, teachers, and so on. So they are the working class. And persons who would classify as lower classes are not stereotyping or anything like that, but persons who would see in the ghettos or the inner cities per se, and the rural, the deep rural areas of the country. But how do they contribute to society? As I said before, the upper class, they are the ones that push the capital to create industries and initiatives to employ persons so that production can grow. And the middle class now, these persons are the ones that work for persons in the upper class So at the same time, production are balanced. The lower class do also work in contributing for the upper class and even for the middle class too. I mean, we will look at the lower class as persons who maybe commit crime or come from a dysfunctional background and so forth and so on. But we have to look in the context that, hey, in deep rural areas, there are persons who do not contribute to crime, but they contribute significantly to the production industry in farming and agriculture. And one theory that I can put to all of this is the conflict theory of Karl Marx, wherein he says that the bourgeoisie, the ones up top, are the upper class per se. They are the ones who the proletariats, the middle class and lower class would work for. So these all incorporate with one another. Each class work with the other so that there is a function in society. And that's my take on all three classes.
Thank you very much.
So how upper class, middle class, and lower class contribute to society? Upper class, they're the ones with the capitals. They provide jobs. Middle class now, they're the ones like supervisor, store supervisor. They will provide jobs as well. And lower class now, they're the ones who don't provide jobs, but they are the ones who offer more services. The lower class will offer more services, while the middle class, they will work for both. They will work for the upper class as well. So how they contribute to society, the upper class will be able to make big donations to children's home and so forth, while the middle class, they will be able to make contribution, but not as big as how the upper class will be able to make contribution. The lower class now won't be able to make contribution, so they will offer services for the middle class and the upper class. So that's my intake on how middle class, upper class, middle class, and lower class will contribute to society. Interesting views from the people. We will take a break and be right back with you after this advertisement.
Move out of the way, hot party, hot party, hot party. Wait, is what kind of music that them are playing in front of your stall? Them no see the lady and her daughter. Meow, I hear that thing that.
After a church we there.
I better you put on the radio energize. You have 20 at station to choose from. You hear a broadcasting commissioner say we're supposed to hear better music on the station than what you are playing inside here.
Fishbone.
Broadcasting Commission. People transitioning digital.
First question to Ms. Ferguson. Can you tell us what is your view on the term lower class?
What is lower class? Lower class is basically an individual position in the social hierarchy. So this is merely a class of people that is below the middle class, having the lowest social rank or standing due to low income, lack of skills or education, can be said to be persons of lower class. There are some examples as well of lower class individuals. Lower class can be in the form of poverty, homelessness, and unemployment, even high school dropout or lack of resources. All of those combined.
But even though you stated about the high school dropout, not because somebody drop out of high school, that doesn't mean they will be a part of the lower class system, because there are a lot of artists that that are in the upper class or the middle class, and they were high school dropout as well.
Yes, Miss Morris. Miss Morrison, I totally agree with what you just said, but I'm just saying that there are persons from the lower class rank who most of their children are high school dropout. They drop
Yeah.
out of high school. And I
So based.
also know that the upper class person can also drop out of school. But most of the time, it's the lower class people drop out of school
Based on lack of resources, educational.
based on their lack of resources.
Okay.
So their family cannot afford to send them to school. Some of them, government has to take the initiative of allowing them to be on the PATH program, and the PATH program assists them with lunch and also a part of paying the school fee and even give them a little money for basic necessities. But not everyone is also privy to be reached by the government.
Mm-hmm. Understandable. Mr. White, can you mute your mic? Second question, Miss Ferguson, what is the impact of lower class and socialization in Caribbean families?
So the impact on lower class on the Caribbean family in terms of socialization, you'll find that in the lower class family in the Caribbean, they're social, they really socialize different because of their poor or poverty background. You find that the upper class people are different. There are certain functions in society, or even shopping, for example. You want to find the lower class shopping really where the upper class or even the middle class persons are because of their low income and stuff like that. They wouldn't be able to, afford certain items in supermarkets and certain store. They have to go to the corner shop where they can, purchase like a pound of every little thing that they need, and also like, a little one item based on how they really get the cash coming in. So according to sociologist Annette Laro, has found that social class plays a major role in the lives of families, particularly those with children. For example, let us say that your parents are highly educated, working and it's a working professionals with good jobs. This makes this means that you will most likely have more opportunities growing up in life than if you were at the lower class level, right? This is what happened in the Caribbean family, right? As opposed to the lower class families, economies, resources are much tighter, right? They have little or no resources, even their food. They can hardly find food and their basic necessities, right? They, for example, parents who belong to lower class as well they really appreciate and respect, have respect for all and obedience. They're really obedient, right? Because um, the middle class people, they are upper class rather, they tend to, you know, probably not everyone, but don't really put all of that in perspective. Unlike the lower class persons, they know that they don't have it. So they would teach their children, to be respectful to others, go.
Your mic, Miss Ferguson. Your, Miss Ferguson, your mic has been muted, so we can't hear what you're saying.
Like, suffer with you to send you to school and stuff like that. So they would instill certain morals in their children, and beliefs and attitude, The lower class parents would really have that of them in the Caribbean. And if they have one uniform, they would ensure that that uniform is properly cleaned up and everything and prepared for them to go to school the next day. You know what I mean? One uniform serve them for the entire week, but their parents would ensure that the uniform is properly dealt with. I have an example again to share with you guys. Even the Delanos family, even the Delanos family situation, where it is one of the most prevalent situation on social media, where Delano is living with his family and they are really poor, right? They don't have much. Their living condition, when I look at it on the TV and saw it, I have to thank God that and say that, really I am blessed, because when I see Delano's situation and persons, come in and trying to assist him and stuff like that, my heart goes out for him and stuff like that. So I'm saying he would be classified or is a good example of someone living in the lower class level. Even the roof over his head, the roof is torn, to pieces. Rain wetting them up in the house. Their food stuff is, all over the place, and the clothes and stuff like that. So I'm saying that, we just have, a lot to give God thanks for, that we are not really like Delano at this time in our life or stage. But Delano's family is a good example of a lower class family, because the prime minister had to see what was happening and even chip in to, give some assistance to the family of Delano, help him with his education, the education aspect, because he wants to be this agricultural person, I think.
Agricultural inspector, and just to add, the opposition leader, sorry, not the prime minister.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yes, the opposition leader. Yes, Miss Morrison, thank you for that. So the opposition leader is willing to assist with Mr. Delano's case.
The further is educational case, yes.
Right. I thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, the story about the Tucker family is really a good example for a lower class family. And I, as everybody else, is truly happy that the family is getting help, the help that they need. And throughout the struggles that they have been through, their children was able to excel in school and, have good qualities such as being respectful, kind, humble throughout all their adversities. So that is indeed a good example. So, Miss Bolton, question to you, what is your understanding of the term middle class?
Okay, good evening. Thanks again for having me. So based on research, the middle class group is a social group that generates significant discretionary income with their labor. For these persons, example of these persons are persons who work as upper or lower level managers, professionals or small business owners who have graduated with a degree from a college or university, and their primary source of wealth is home ownership. They do often have a higher level of education achievement, and these persons range from lawyers, doctors, to even clerical workers. According to the Oxford Bibliographies, some scholars define the middle class based on their means of production, relative income, and consumption patterns. Also, a common working definition might include persons whose income are at the middle third of income distribution.
All right, wonderful. So, what is the impact of middle class and socialization in Caribbean families?
Okay, so there are some characteristics to the middle class persons. These characteristics are development for any country with a large percentage of middle class. That is a defining factor that that country is a developed country. Okay, another factor is productivity. There are labor specializations, generalists, entrepreneurs, wealth, and consumption. For consumption, they develop wants and needs that are way beyond basic survival. They are the income group that accounts for the highest share of consumption. They contribute more than any other income group to aggravate consumption in the economy. Okay, the middle class is important to our society. A strong and prosperous middle class is crucial for any successful economy and cohesive society. The middle class sustains consumption. It drives much of the investment in education, health, and housing, and plays a key role in sustaining social protection system through its tax contributions. It creates a stable source of demand for goods and services. Middle class persons are the backbone of the economy, the most productive workers in the world. They increase the value of the nation output, income, and expenditure. Benefits of economic growth, ability to devote more resources to areas like health, care, and education. Okay.
All right. So, yes, the middle class, it's the middle. Most of us have grown up in middle class families, and we have really contributed great significance to the society. So, we'll be right back.
Zing, zing, zing. You are the clink, clink, clink. You are the pop, pop, pop. You are the I in Jamaica. So keep fizzing for the love of it. Pepsi.
Welcome back as we continue to discuss our understanding of this topic. So, Mr. White, what is your understanding of upper class?
Yes, thanks again for having me. All right, my understanding of the upper class is that in modern society is the social class that composed of people who hold the highest status, and these are usually the wealthiest members of a class society. And interestingly, they wield the greatest political power in any society that supports class structure. Now, according to data derived from International Development Bank, IDB, the region pre-COVID, that's little before COVID, it stated that approximately 10% of the population fell within the upper class structure.
Okay, wonderful. It's good that we can know about that. So, what is the impact of upper class and socialization in Caribbean families?
No, that's an interesting question. All right, so in order to understand the impact of the upper class socialization in Caribbean family, we must first understand or gain knowledge into what is socialization. Now, socialization is the process by which a human being at the beginning stage, infancy, acquires the habits, beliefs, norms, and accumulated knowledge of society through education and training for adult status. Basically, they learn or follow what their parents state within their family setting. So the upper class family will socialize different from the lower or middle class society. Okay, so therefore, if you are born in the upper class society structure, you will learn the habits that show superiority. Yeah, they always want you to feel or seem like they are better off than others within society than others. So basically, they look down on others, anybody outside of their class. This is known as classism, and it's basically prejudice against anybody that falls outside of their group or their structure. Now, the impact of this upper class as on socialization within the Caribbean society, family, it varies from educational access, where they are either placed, members of that group are either placed in a state-of-the-art facility or the little known to others, homeschooling. Yes, homeschooling in order to acquire the best possible educational attainment to any individual possible. Now, a perfect example of this homeschooling and this structure is educational segregation, where the former Minister of Education, now Prime Minister of Jamaica, removed his children from the prep school system upon becoming Minister of Education and introduced them to homeschooling. So it basically depicts a change or a step up into a higher class, moving from middle to upper, or upper middle to upper. Socialization within the upper class of Caribbean families bring rise to critical thinkers, entrepreneurship on a larger scale, meaning at a tender age, they're often taught the art of management because they already have the company or business waiting on them to grow. Businesses that have been from centuries growing, centuries coming up. Yes, they're taught leadership and critical decision making, along with the values and norms that satisfy its members within that particular class, which is the upper class. So they are taught to think differently, act differently. They view things different from others, or they trick themselves to think that things are different from others. Yes, so basically it's a whole different ball game when you're a member of the upper class within our society.
All right. Good information, Mr. White. Is there anyone else who would like to add anything or have any more information about the social classes, the different social class?
Okay, so
Well,
the middle class society are set group of persons. They provide leadership in all leading institutions in our society. For example, in the church, the judiciary, education, the media, political parties, and social groups. The middle class forms a framework which is a base for parental practices in socialization. As parents, they focus on obedience, neatness, good manners, and instilled behavioral conformity. They emphasize creativity and self-reliance and focus mainly on their children's development in developing a sense of responsibility and bearing of self-control, achievement, and accomplishment so that they can be good, outstanding citizens in the future. The middle class in any society represents the core of the society in terms of values and behavior. Thank you.
yes, I would like to add before before I go. I'm of the opinion that the whole structure, class structure, is very much needed in any given society. If you check the Indian society, there is the existence of the caste system. It's similar to our system in the Caribbean. However, it has more details and more levels to it, basically. But I feel that this system is needed for social cohesion to take place and things to run properly and smooth. The difference with our system is that the Caribbean system is that you are not confined to the lower or the upper. If you're at the lower, you can make moves through social mobility that can increase your chances of finally being at the top of the system. So if we are in the lower system, we don't try to say it's the end of the day. We make steps, and in the end, we'll be successful and reach the top. Okay?
Right. So, I have really learned a lot tonight, and unfortunately, not all families have equal opportunities in societies. Factors like economic and educational levels, class, gender, and race can have a major impact on how our different families operate. Middle, upper class, Middle and upper class parents are, better able and more likely to provide the resources for their children needs and for extracurricular activities and tutoring rather than the lower class. So thank you all for coming tonight and sharing your views with us. We'll see you guys next week as we continue to discuss interesting topic on Caribbean angles.